with the participants. So first, I'll start by introducing the panelists that we have today in our mix. Just give me 1 minute to share my screen. Okay, can you guys get my screen, please? Okay. Yes, first we have Mr. Usman Manjan, who is logging in today from the UK, but a Gambian. I'm sorry, a Gambian, but a chartered accountant as well. And I think the discussion as we move forward, we'll see the need why we need the chartered accountants and finance professionals in these discussions. He is currently an account and tax consultant with Elan Accountancy in the UK. He's currently the finance manager as well for YA Instant. Please confirmed as we'll open the door for you. This was just quickly taken from the LinkedIn profiles. And he has worked with Bill Bailey Group Chartered Accountancy in the UK. He is a very strong advocate of digitizing financial records with the use of cloud-based accounting. As we delve deep into the conversation, we'll tap from his expertise on the need for record keeping, the need for financial information to enhance your business. So next, we have the lady in the house, that's Madam Fatou Sengay, which is a public figure in the country in terms of helping the young one to upskill themselves, especially in areas that women are not really known for in the Gambia, especially in the skilled industry. She is currently the CEO of Gain Your Skill. Again, she won the Social Entrepreneurship Award, which was organized by the UTAC in Kenya during their investment forum. She is very interested in mentorship and entrepreneurship for young ones. And this has been tested by what she has done over the years with her Skill Academy. Welcome, Madam Gay. Last but not the least, we have Mr. who need probably no introduction, or I feel so excited to introduce him because, again, the milestone achievement that he has done within the industry of entrepreneurship, both within and outside Gambia. He is currently the CEO of Coringo since 2020 and the CEO of JP Money Transfer, which is a household name in the money transfer business in the Gambia, with over 18 years experience, over 18 years with JP. He is a former non-executive director of Ecobank Gambia as well, from 2013 to 2022, and a former board member for Gambia Ports Authority from 2017 to 2019. But again, he has a lot of achievement during his stay as the president of GCCI during the period of 2012 to 2019. He worked with Volo Senegal as well as a director from 2013 to 2018. He is currently serving as the treasurer for the JNOC, which is part of some of those corporate social responsibilities that they do to at least give out to society based on their expertise. He is normally known for in the social media domain as a global hustler and a fintech investor. And of course, he's taken as a very serial entrepreneur. Thank you very much, Mr. Jagana. And thank you very much, Mr. Marong and Madam Gay. So today's discussion is basically to look at entrepreneurship, but in the context of financing startups. Yes, entrepreneurship has been defined by different schools of thought vis-a-vis self-employment or just doing a business. But one of the key topics or one of the key definitions that touches me is to consider the famous economist and the philanthropist Adam Smith, who says entrepreneurship can be defined as the study of human actions that leads to the changes in the division of labor. And the key word here is the division of labor and the human actions. And as we progress, some of these discussions will happen. So in terms of division of labor, this will lead me to the first question of the day to Mr. Manja. I know we've been saying finance is the lifeblood of any business, but in achieving finance, you need certain set of database to do that. And we understand in the Gambia, a lot of small startups don't keep financial records. So to start with, at least to build the conversation, before you are into business, you need to establish some of this information. Why is it important to establish these systematic processes for small businesses, especially keeping financial records and other informations to begin with? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and also the opportunity for me to be here, not only showing my face, but also to contribute to the development of the country. And I think it's crucial. It's also very important for us to learn something outside and bring it back to the Gambia. That's where we're from, and that's where we belong. So I'm honored to be here, and I thank Ibrahim also to offer this opportunity for me to also come here, like I said, to contribute one way or the other. Right. The question is crucial, and it's a very important question. And why do we keep financial data? Why do we keep proper record keeping? Now, as a business startup, you need to analyze your data, either monthly or quarterly at least. Your financial record to know where you are. You need to have a fair understanding of the position of the business. You need to know the direction that you want to go to. Now, if you have fake business information, let's say you're recording and input wrong information, then your financial statement will not be accurate. So, which means where you think you are and where you actually are will be a completely different thing altogether. So that's one of the reasons. So that's why we say, to prepare a valid financial statement, you need to have a proper record keeping. And for you to have the proper record keeping, the original data that you input into the system must be correct. That should be the starting point. And number two, you want to know your real financial situation. You don't just want to be in the business, but you want to be in the business, as I said before, to know where you are now and to track your income, track your expenditures, your liability, and all other things so that you can have a fair understanding of the situation and performance of the business. You need to be clear to say, this is where I am now, and this is where I want to be in a couple of years' time or a couple of months' time. You really need to have that understanding. And the third thing will be the cash flow. You need to have a fair, again, understanding of the available fund for you. And if you don't do the proper record keeping, you don't know the liability that need to be settled, you don't need the expenses that you need to pay, just keep going, you will get to the point your business probably will collapse. It will, because you don't know, you don't have a planning as to when to spend, where to spend the money, you just keep going on. So it will no doubt affect your cash flow. The other thing is getting money. I think this during this presentation, we will go through sources of getting the money and stuff, but just an overview. Proper record keeping, again, will help you to raise additional. Okay. Proper record keeping will help you to raise additional funds, especially if you need it from the investors, because they need to see some information that can be convincing that, okay, I can put my money into this particular business because there will be a return in it. So again, if your information are not up to date, you don't input correct information, you're likely going to miss those things out. You also want to have a strong relationship with your suppliers. Again, these suppliers, they could request some information for your credit rating to make sure that you put in correct information in, and they're not putting themselves in a funny situation where when they need money, you wouldn't be able to pay them. So again, they could request some information from you. So all those things are important, and particularly Gambia. If you look at outside Gambia, say UK here, once you start a business, you have to pay tax like Gambia as well. But the taxes you pay here might be slightly different. Now, if you do not have a proper record keeping, you might require accountant to either review your accounts or do your bookkeeping and then file the tax to HMRC. If these recordings are not intact or information is all over the place, it's going to cost the accountant loads of time, because I experienced that, where we need to be casing you, trying to obtain some information, making some projection to make sure the financial statement is reliable. You have to pay for that fees. And some of those are not necessary. So by just doing a proper record keeping, organizing yourself will help you to avoid all those things. And of course, you will get to the point where you will likely need to be audited. Again, if you don't have enough information in place, or auditors cannot obtain information from you, therefore they're likely going to qualify your financial statement. So these are some of the reasons why a proper record keeping is crucial in the business.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Manjang. I think the key takeaway is to have a fair and credible financial information, not even just only to attract investors, but to know the status of your business or your investment. That can guide your scale up, that can guide your interaction with potential investors. So your intervention will just lead me to the next question to Madam Gay. As an investor, Madam Gay, in addition to the financial records, as alluded to by Mr. Manjang, what are some of the key other factors that could entice an investor? Because we have a lot of young investors in the platform who are looking at investors, but sometimes they have this issue of, understanding what actually attracts investors to their businesses. So aside from, yes, businesses having kept their good financial reports, what are some of the other key things that entices investors to invest in startup businesses? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving us the platform. You can't hear me? Hello?
Yes.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be in this very important group to talk about finance and investment, and also how to support young people who are specialists. It's very crucial because a lot of young people want to start the Gambia, but know the requirements, what they need, how to start a business, and what the business entails is sometimes a problem for them. As an investor, if I was to invest in a business, I would first of all look at the uniqueness and the innovativeness of the business. And the person bringing the business to me, whether he understands the business, what has he done before? Does he or she have registered in doing the business? What are the loopholes? Whether the person calculate risks. As we are in business, we must take the moderate risks possible. You cannot just jump into a business without understanding the concept of the business, without understanding the needs of that business, but just see people doing it and do it. And most of the time in the Gambia, this is what we see. Young people just wanted to do it because their friends are doing it, and they just jump into it and want to do it without understanding the business concept. But you must be very passionate about what you do. Before you put in your money into anything, you must look at the sustainability of the business. Whether the business can be sustainable. For you to be in turn, be able to do your money back. Because every investor is a business person as well. So they would invest their money in return of getting their money back with a little dividend out of it. So if they do not see coming forward, they wouldn't want to put their money into it. So when you pitch into an investor, you must be very confident and know the investor's wish. What is the investor looking for before you just go in there and want to talk to the investor? Because this should be a demand driven, not something that you have in mind and want to just give. But you must know that when you're talking to also what he wanted to have in order to put his money into it. So I think that is really important in the market, and you must also understand the market, whether the products and services you are selling are in demand, whether they will yield you a dividend, whether you have a profit out of it to be able to pay back. Because you're coming in to talk to somebody to give you money. And the person giving you money also as an investor will also look at, is this person talk to me gonna make money out of the business? Is this business viable? The viability of a business is very key. Where you're gonna put the business to sell, positioning your business to is crucial. So as an investor, I would look at all these things before I put in my money to invest in anything, so that I will be sure of getting my money back and be able to invest in more businesses and grow in that domain. Thank you.
Thank you very, 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 very much. I think the entrepreneurs are listening, and the key things is to look at their strategic intent of the business should be clear. They should understand the market should be market driven, not friend-led, but market-led, if I can call it that way, as we know it in the Gambia. My friend is a tailor, I have to have a tailoring shop. My friend is a carpenter, I have a carpenter shop. You have to be passionate about what you do, but basically have the market. That's very insightful. Thank you very much, Madam Gay, for those starting intervention as well. So your intervention will lead me to the next question to Mr. Jagana. Being a serial entrepreneur, but an investor as well, a lot of businesses fail to understand what form of financing they should go for as a startup, either equity or debt financing, which of them? So, Mr. Jagana, as your first intervention, what would be your advice on the key considerations by an investor or by an entrepreneur to determine which form of financing best suits their investment or their business? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I think it's a very interesting question. So it depends also on the business. If you're a small startup, I would just want to touch on what Usman and Fatu said, especially in terms of the record keeping. It would help you when you come to the stage of in terms of deciding what kind of investment you're going to take. You can start from family and friends who would help you support your startup. Then once you go to the next stage, you might have to look for people outside. But if you start talking to people outside, you need to figure out, okay, do I want a long-term financing or short-term financing? Do you want an overdraft? Most banks will not give you an overdraft or a loan. So most probably you might have to go for venture funding. Unfortunately, in the environment we're in Gambia, there's no venture capital or funding for startups. So most startups tend to rely on their own bootstrapping or their family and friends funding. But in more advanced markets, there are very diverse opportunities where you can get funding from. It also depends on the industry and the nature of the business that you're doing. Some businesses are high risk, some businesses are low risk. So there are people that have special funds or grants in particular areas. For example, today, globally, a lot of money is going into climate change and impact of climate resilience. So there are a lot of multilateral fundings that are financing these particular entrepreneurial journeys. Are we Gambians looking at them? I'm not sure. So that is one thing. But the question now is between equity or loans. The structure of the Gambia, we just launched the capital market, I think, last month, has not been that dynamic for equity funding. So I think that one in the long run might be something that we need to look at, but it's some missed opportunity at the moment that is not available. So I would start with that and leave it on to the next question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to choose the source of funding that you need, you've rightly alluded to it. First, you need to understand what is the status of your business. And this cannot be known without basically establishing your financial records as a business. But As an other issue is understanding which investors are you dealing with, just by alluded to by your earlier speakers. So this question or your intervention will lead me to another question, Mr. Manjang. We'll need you again on this. We've noticed a lot of businesses that we have in the country don't have some of these tools, which are a very good business plan, if I can put it that way, because most of them can have one-page, two-page business plan, which you can agree to. But again, have financial forecasts, have some budgeting processes as well. Why do you think some of these tools are important for a business, more especially a startup? Thank you. Sorry, you're muted.
Unmute. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yes, sorry about that. So I was saying another very important question. Why is business plan so important, particularly for a startup, right? Setting up a budget. Now, if you set up a budget, this is going to allow you to plan out your expenditures, your expenses. You need to know your business goals. You want to know what you want to achieve. And among the key things we discuss in here, you want to attract investors. And these investors, they do not just want to spend money for sake of spending money. As one of the panelists rightly mentioned, she said that they're expecting some return from their investment. If you do not have that proper plan, number one, that's going to affect those potential investors who could invest in your business. But for you, as an individual who want to start up this entrepreneurship, this new business journey, if you do not have a plan that will guide you to be successful in the business, you're likely going to fail. There is nothing like I'm not planning. I do not believe in that. Either you plan to be successful or you plan to fail. But there must be a plan at some point. So sitting down, not doing anything, or not planning, making a projection for the business to be successful, you are indeed planning to be failed. You can be successful only by luck. And honestly, most of these things won't happen by chance. You have to plan yourself, organize, be disciplined, and stick to the plan that you set forth. With this one, you will have a proper understanding of the business direction. Michael Porter rightly mentioned this at some point, that when your business startup, yes, you make a plan, even though the plan might not be rigid, but you need to have a plan to have a fair direction where you want to go in terms of product or services you want to offer in the market. You might want to open your arms for a number of activities, but along the line, because you have a plan, comparing your plan and your results will help you to know if you're achieving your target. But as you go into the business, you can then narrow down and focus on an area that will maximize your bottom line. That's the profit. So you need to have this planning in place because, like I said, even the investors themselves, they want to make sure you account for every single penny. That's one thing. And for yourself, being the business owner, you want to know where you are and compare to where you want to be, and what do you need to do to achieve that target. So although certain budgets, there are a number of issues associated with it, but I think majority of the scholars believe that budget setting help business to control and monitor their activities. So it is very, very crucial for business startup to set up a plan, set up a budget that will guide them in terms of services they want to offer, the market they want to tap into, the investors they need to attract, because at some point they might request this budget. So the investors or other stakeholders could request this information from you, and this could even be your suppliers, it could be your customers, especially with a key customer. They want to know that you're going to stay in the business for a long time. They don't want to associate with a company that will start supplying halfway through the line, they will go out of business and they will struggle to secure another supplier. So as a startup, it is fundamental to have that plan, set up a budget that will help you to organize yourself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manjang. As it is said, you normally, if you are not planning, you are planning to fail. It's either you plan or you plan to fail. Basically, those are the things that happened. And I think the startups should be working on establishing some of these basic facts as we have sequenced it since the beginning of the conversation, where you need to keep records, but those records needs to be informed by information in order to manage the value proposition that you have within your business. Thank you very much, Mr. Manjang. So the next question will go to Mr. Jagana. And Mr. Jagana, you know what basically takes me into this question is I recently was watching, I think, one of the TV stations, and there was this pitching competition happening. And I was looking at how some of these investors have brilliant ideas, if you look at them. But at the end of the day, it becomes very problematic for them to convince the investors who were sitting on the panel. And having a lot of young entrepreneurs who basically probably will be looking at investors or having to discuss with investors. What would be your advice to some of these entrepreneurs on the key things to consider if they are to meet investors, to convince them either to take up equity or to get debt from financing from them? But what is your advice to young entrepreneurs or startups?
Salif, thank you. That's quite a deep question, but I'll try and answer it. But on average, I think most investors tend to look at several factors that would entice them to invest in a startup company. Since investing in startups can be very risky, you could lose all of your capital and things like that. So a thorough evaluation of certain factors can help you mitigate that. But I think what people tend to look at first, the strong idea and innovative idea. How strong is your idea? How innovative it is? How much of it is being a game changer? Is it unique? Or is it just a copy and paste? And if you're copy and pasting, are you improving on what is happening in the current market? For example, if you take Facebook, when they started, there was already MySpace and other people. But Facebook came up with a unique proposition which was focusing on college students first and universities. So they had a target market. So they had a very strong idea and innovation that they came. What kind of experience and commitment does the team have? You want to do a startup business, or you want to start a business, but you want to work 8 to 4. When you go home, take care of your wife and the kids, then you want to start working on the startup. How committed are you? So the founding team's experience helps. But if you look at most of these shows, they tend to ask the guys, how long have you been doing this? What are you doing full time? Where are you getting the other revenues from? So I think the commitment is critical in this. So you need to have a strong team that is dedicated to this. What is the market opportunity? Today, if you want to start a business, you need to know your market. What is your immediate market size? How are you going to expand to it? Have you assessed the growth potentials? What are the competitors doing? Is there potential to grow in that market or not? Then you also need to come up with a competitive. Sorry, somebody is not on mute. Hello? Sorry, somebody is not on mute, so interrupting. Can you guys hear me? What competitive advantage are you coming up? The startup should have a clear competitive advantage, whether it's through use of technology or intellectual property, or some kind of brand or some kind of initiative that they have. You need to have a small traction, because today most people, before they might invest on a concept on a paper, but since the tech boom in 2000, most people want to look at a minimum valuable product. You can say that I've started selling this in Birkama. I have 200 customers. I've noticed through my data that customers are coming from Basel, customers are coming from Elara. That's why I want to raise capital to expand into this market. You need to have an execution plan. I think Usman mentioned that, so I will not go into that in detail. But it's critical that whatever you do, you need to have a structure and a plan around it. What kind of communication system are you using? Who are you talking to? How are you selling it to them? You need to be very transparent and open. Don't have a colorful presentation, But once they go to the second day and start asking you questions, you don't even know the market. So these are things that you need to know. So the founders need to have a very detailed knowledge of their market. I think these are some of the things that as an investor, they will want to pick up from you to make decisions to partner with you in your startup. Thank you.
Very much, Mr. Jagana, for those insightful deliberations on things to consider that attract investors as well as a young entrepreneur. And this is something that is lacking in the country, where people don't really have data. And if I see the sequencing of your discussions, all of you, the ultimate starting point is to have data to inform what you do as an investor, rather than arbitrarily working on issues. This is a big problem that we have in the Gambia. And that will just lead me to the next question. As we know, a lot of startup investors, in one way or the other, will attract investors or go and take loans in the banks, but they have issues in terms of transparency. They have issues in terms of diversions as well. So, Madam Gay, I know you've dealt with a lot of investors, or you're dealing with a lot of young entrepreneurs, the academic or training them, but how do you think this can be addressed by the investors, by the entrepreneurs that we have, in terms of coming up with transparency if people give you their resources, or in terms of being accountable? How can this be sorted by the entrepreneurs? Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that what Mr. Manjang have said would be the starting point, because a business plan helps you to strategize, guides you, and also have your financial discipline in it. Business plan will motivate you to do the right work at the right time, because you'll have a guide in front of you to follow. Entrepreneurs, I always advise them not to take bank loans, because bank loans are loans that you pay. Maybe you can have an investor like Mr. Jagan said, take money from them, and investors might lose their money because they will look at family relationships and other ties in it. But now we live in a different world where everybody must do something profitably and earn from it. So my advice to young entrepreneurs is to be very focused. Let the passion come out first. Do a thorough research of the business that you wanted to do. Information seeking is very key in implementing something. You cannot just come up and saw an opportunity, jump into it without doing a research to understand the business, to understand the customers, to understand the viability and sustainability of that business. If you have a clear concept of what you want to do, you then start putting into perspectives what you would like to have. I see business plans that people write. They're always profitable. 90% of business plans that young people do in this country is always profitable, because nobody wants to go on the wrong direction. They don't look thoroughly into the business. They just write what they focus on, what they think they can have. 1 year I can have this, next year. And business is like a child. It grows from stage to stage. You cannot just jump today and have what you want tomorrow, because you must follow the path and then work really hard towards it, be committed, be focused, and be ready to put in everything that you have to make sure that business grows. But these are the things that they do not have in line to make sure that their businesses grow, and they just wanted to grow overnight. And they also anticipate a lot of money to start up a business. You can start a business knowing your persona, and then going around doing a prototype that would not even cost you anything. For your personas to like it, your customers to love that idea first before you get into the business proper and produce a lot to sell. But you see a lot of people producing a lot and wanted the market to just get it as a supply drive in the market. It doesn't work also. So they must know what to do, know their customers, know where they are, who their targets are, and how they can sell to them. If this is clear in their mind, then they'll have a focus, they'll have a sense of direction, and then preaching the concept will be easy for them. They must be willing and ready to take challenges and accept feedbacks. Because feedbacks are just goodwill. And young people also do not tend to get feedbacks because they believe in whatever they said, whatever they want to do in business is the right thing because they have a passion. Yes, we have a passion in what we do. Yes, we love what we do as we love our kids. But then again, we're not doing it for ourselves. We have people that we serve. And those that we serve are the people that can tell us whether business is good or not, because they have the purchasing power to give us what we need for us to be sustainable. So I'll advise them to look at all these things and accept feedbacks, work on feedback so that we're able to grow and grow gradually. Businesses, we have to nurture them. We have to make sure we grow with a business at a steady fast level, but not today 100 and tomorrow 1,000. It doesn't really work like that. And this is what I have to advise the young people to be more focused, more committed, and know what they want to do in the market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Gay. Undoubtedly, consistency is something that it is sung or normally said in business. You have to be consistent, but more important, you have to be intentional on your consistency in business. Looking at the number of years that you guys have spent to be successful, it's just not 2 months, it's just not 3 years. And this comes with consistency. And that is doing it every other time. Yes, doing it differently, but be consistent on how you do it. So this will lead me to the next question. This will go to maybe 3 of you, but we will start with Mr. Jagana. And undoubtedly, a lot of business owners, including you guys, have a lot of missteps along the way. Probably if I ask today, most of you will tell you we are not yet successful. And the young ones are sitting there and say these people are successful, or they're just saying the success stories now. I will want each one of you to start with Mr. Jagana to share possibly one misstep that you've had over the journey of your entrepreneurship and which you will probably continue to have, but manageable. And how did you overcome some of this that you have in the entrepreneurship journey? If you can say just one experience, it's good for the young ones to know that this is part of the terrain. This is something that you have to live as an entrepreneur, where a day you will basically have nothing in your pocket or the numbers will not be making sense in the business. But just share with us or with the young ones some of these missteps that you have in your entrepreneurship journey. Thank you. Mr. Jagan.
I think the best way to succeed in business is to fail 9 times and succeed on the 10th. So I can assure you, the average business person must have failed once or twice before they got into this. For example, we were involved in granite trading. We went to URR between 2013 and 2015 to buy granites. We had wonderful Excel spreadsheets, putting in all the data. But at the end of the day, we realized that, look, you cannot make money by buying granites. You can only make money by buying granites and turning it into oil or adding value to it. So we exited that business. But I can assure you that we learned a lot from that business because we kept proper records. Every day, in all the stations, in all the villages that we buy, we feed everything into an Excel, run through the numbers, look at our costs, look at our margins, because the margins are set by GGC and that stuff. We realized that this is why most people that were all of it, threat, them threat, then they're down. So that is one lesson we learned. So we decided to wrap that business and go on. But I can tell you, I have a dozen of businesses that I went into that failed, and I learned my lesson from those. But that has not stopped me in trying. I keep trying and looking at other opportunities. So for everybody that wants to go into business, it's like a child trying to walk. Maybe the first step will fall, but then you'll have to get up again and start and continue walking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jagana. Again, I will repeat, it's consistency. Then over to you, Madam Gay, if you want to share some experiences, especially in this field.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ba. Like the saying goes, if you step on a stone once, next time you pass by that stone, you remember that it hurts, and you avoid the stone and get to another way that is a bit smoother. Like Mr. Jagana said, we failed a lot of times, but always learn on those lessons in order to improve on what we do. For us, I can tell you, my biggest challenge was going to the province, open a center. I have a center in Farafenni and in Soma. And in 2011, I was supported by UN to open a center in Farafenni. We still existed in Farafenni, but we had a lot of fall downs and then get up and, you know, being motivated by seeing the successes that we registered of young people now being empowered in their own businesses. And that motivated us up to now. And now it's a bit, I can tell you, on a smooth road for us to go. There were certain times that we wanted to engage the young, we do not have funding for them to pay, but it was always a challenge for us to do that. So it even leads us to close the center for a year and then go back. But when we went back, we had other ways of strategizing. And now if I tell you, young people are paying to get the skills because quality and consistency, as we said, persistence is the key of a successful entrepreneur. And we've tried to be consistent, be very persistent, and give quality at all times without jeopardizing it. We use quality with efficiency and also helped us. And this is why we stayed there up to now, and we have registered a lot of successes, but it was difficult to penetrate the market and stay when we just went in. Because the young people in the province do not believe in the skills that time, because they haven't seen results. But now when we in results, when we bring competent people, and when we have young people owning their own businesses everywhere you turn in Farafenni, tailors, those in the IT sector, those in the creative sector, those in the hairdressing sector, all those businesses, 90% of them are products of Danger. Whoever we tell what we do, you turn around and see the success. Now it's positive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think seeing is believing, and with what you have demonstrated is they've seen it and believed it. And I think from here, what the young entrepreneurs should know is Mr. Jagana have failed and rise again. Madam Gay has failed and rise again. So be Mr. Usman Manjang. Do you want to share probably one or two failures that you've actually encountered in your journey as, yes, a chartered accountant, but as a finance professional, but obviously as an entrepreneur as well? So over to you, Mr. Manjang.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ba. The starting point probably will not be the failure, but the struggle to start a business, and especially in a Western world where I live. I have a chartered firm, okay? And you want to target a potential client that are more lucrative, where you can make more money. The problem we have is the first impression, your name. If they see your name, Usman Manjang, forget it. They don't give you the chance. And if you don't talk to them, they won't come to you. So this is the problem that we face to start a business. So you can see that it's a growing market, but how would I get in? Nothing is easy in life. And like I said before, things won't happen by chance. It won't happen by themselves. So you have to be creative. You got to think outside the box. So that's why I'm always forward thinking, right? I know if you see my name, you're not going to approach me as your accountant. But if you know what I know, if you know my knowledge, if you know my understanding of the industry and the sector, you will hand over your books to me. So the question is, how would I get to you? So website was one of the key things that I want to focus on. But again, they will send you the information and ask you to email them back. So when you email, again, your name is there. So that's out of the equation. So we also have a place called BAC where you can go there to look for a client. So they will charge you credit, and then they will give you the potential clients, and you call the clients and talk to them. Again, you call them, they first ask your name, and when they hear you talking, they are not interested. Oh, I'm busy, can I call you back? Send me the email, I'll come back to you. And the trouble of getting into the market. So the next step I have is to look for networking events where I can be there physically, and I know they don't have choice, but to give me 15 minutes to go and demonstrate my service and how I offered and my experience. So there is one common networking event called BNI. If you guys don't know, probably you search about them. They initiated from US, and then now they're in the UK and most part of the world, BNI. So I didn't subscribe with BNI. This is back in 2018. And then I went there, was given the 15 minutes. But after the talk, then you can see they start coming up. How long have you been doing this? I have a bookkeeping, I have accounts. I need a bookkeeper because I believe in digitizing the system, as you said before. So I will demonstrate to them how I will remove this manual intervention and bring in the technology so that things that they will be doing for weeks and weeks can be done within minutes. And then they start to listen and you start to develop your customer base. So when you're getting into this business, don't think that it's going to be smooth, nice, and straightforward. It's always going to be a roller coaster ride. Brilliant today and otherwise tomorrow. But that should prepare you. That should equip you. Believe in yourself. Know that if you can dream about it, you can do it. It's as simple as that. If you can dream about it, you can do it. But if you start and it doesn't go the way you plan, and then you want to step back and start again, you will not progress. Once you have a clear plan in place, stick to it like a postal stamp until you get what you want. Don't start today and leave tomorrow. The market is always open. It's just that it depends whether you have conducted a thorough research to find out about the growing market, find out about the market that is not well tapped, get in there, study it, know your customers, know what they want, and offer exactly that. Because you cannot satisfy the entire world. So you need to look at the market and satisfy those customers. Once customers are getting the value they're paying for, they're going to stay with you because they don't have choice. Customers are concerned about the money they're paying. Investors, like we mentioned here, throughout. So they don't just want to invest for sake of investing, but they want to invest because there is going to be a return for them. Customers also don't want to buy because they know you. It's the value they're getting from you. That's what matters. And thank you very much for giving me that floor.
Thank you very much. Again, it will continue to happen. Make a good plan, be consistent with your plan, but understand your plan to move on to achieve your objectives. Basically, that is the saying in the entrepreneurship journey. Now, I know we would want to extend this discussion, or people will love to have this discussion for hours and hours, but unfortunately, we have very busy executives here to discuss with us. In other countries, you pay for money to get this, but we're having it on free pro bono. This is part of the CSR that they're doing to the community. So this will actually take us to the Q&A. We have a lot of questions that we wanted to ask, but we'll have a Q&A maybe 5 or 10 minutes. We promised them 1 hour. Probably now some of them have already, plugged in for other meetings or wants to plug in for other meetings. So if we can give the floor, if there is any question, or in the absence of any question from the participants, if they addressed, then we can go maybe to the final closing to have maybe a few words from them. Mr. Sonnen, do we have any question on the tab from participants, or if they have, we can allow them to ask direct? Before we
not yet. No question in the chat box, but if anyone has, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you.
So maybe in that we will be clocking the 1 hour mark before we, or do we have anyone?
No, not yet. So I think maybe you can proceed.
Yes.
If anyone has any, you can drop in the chat box.
Yes. Yeah, possibly some of their answers, some of their questions have been answered during the discussion. They were very short, but very succinct and very rich for entrepreneurs to take care of, starting from record keeping, but to attracting investors, but to maintaining your business and to scaling your business, has been discussed by the 3 panelists. So I'll just maybe before doing the closing remarks, allow the panelists, maybe starting from Mr. Manjang as well. What would be your advice, your final words on this discussion for those young entrepreneurs that we have, but even the big entrepreneurs who are thinking of scaling to a bigger market? So what will be your final words for the discussion before we move to the next? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Again, this is similar to what I have just mentioned now. that when you come into a business now, do not think that it's going to be all easy for you, right? Yes, you can be employed, for example, and get a fixed paid, okay? The good thing about that, you know how much you're going to get at the end of the month. That's it. That's it, okay? But if you want to progress, you want to move on, aside from the employment, you need to be more creative. You need to come up with ideas that can help you to move to the next level. You need to progress in life. You don't want to be doing the same thing throughout. So if you have already made up your mind that you want to start up a business, like we mentioned here today, have a proper plan and discipline yourself financially. Know where you're going to get the money from. If it's going to come from Osusu, because there are different ways you can get money from. It doesn't necessarily have to be from your personal savings or from the banks and other lenders, or maybe from the investors, because going into the investors, one disadvantage is that it's going to dilute your control and ownership of the business. Because when the investors come, yes, they're going to give you the money that you're not going to pay back, but the control that you have before, the ownership that you have before will go down, definitely, no doubt about that. That is the essence of investment. You go to the bank and take loan, whether you're making profit or not, you have to pay that interest back, okay? One of the most expensive or difficult one is your net income, right? So your net earning, to use that to invest the business. But then there are other means, like Jagana mentioned earlier on. There are these informal ones where you can get it from the family members. You can be part of these Osusu programs and get the money. One of my friends, they're Osusu in the UK here, get £20,000, right? So that's, I mean, I told him, I said that £20,000, draw a proper business plan. But he was asking me, what am I going to do with that? I want to buy a compound. If that is your objective, fine. But people always have a different objectives. And I mean, you can only advise, we cannot force people to do what is good for them or what you think is good for them. So but not to distract or drip off, but if you're planning to get into your business, setting up a company, like I said, do not think that it's going to be straightforward. Have a proper planning, understand the market, understand the product and services that you're going to offer. Why are customers going to buy your product? Why are they not going to go to your competitors? Who are your competitors? How are you going to effectively compete in the market? Because your competitors' action can kick you out of the business. And that is probably not your objective. You want to stay in the business for a longer period of time. So what plans you set in terms of marketing, in terms of understanding your suppliers, your customers, your audience, your target audience, these are the key things you need to put them together. Be financially disciplined, proper record keeping, because garbage in, garbage out. If you put the rubbish information into your account, you're going to make a rubbish decision. If you want to make informed decision, you want to make a quality decision about your business, the information you input into your system is crucial. If you want to do it manual, traditional way, if that is what you can, fine. But moving into more tech system, into using even a basic computer that can analyze the data for you is always crucial. And nowadays, most of these cloud softwares are very cheap and reasonable. Consider them, use them so they can interpret your information for you. You can have a fair understanding of your business at any point in time. Whatever decision you are making will be fresh and great decision. You're not just going to decide on doing something, even about a product that you want to discontinue or product you want to go into. You'll have a proper understanding about all of these services and the product that you want to offer, and then decide accordingly. So I would say this is what I have for you, and thank you very much to have me here today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manyang, for having you, and credible information cannot be overemphasized. Then over to you, Madam Gay, your final words and advice to young entrepreneurs.
Thank you much, Mr. Ba. I'll start with telling them your business and your life is totally different. Your lifestyle is your lifestyle, how you would like to run it, but the business is a different entity. So using the entity concept, you must be able to separate those two in order to be successful in business. It doesn't mean that you own the business, you own the money, and whatever you wanted to do with that, you can do it at any point in time. You must be very disciplined if you want to be an entrepreneur. be very passionate with what you want to do, have knowledge of what you would like to do. Even if you don't have a knowledge and have to pay a little fee to learn about it, it's essential to do that. Be innovative, have a very innovative mind that you can always create and innovate, because we live in a globalized world where competition is very stiff. And if you wanted to have an edge, you must be able to be creative and innovative in the market. Do a thorough market research. If you have an opportunity, take the initiative. But before you act on that initiative, you need to have a profound information of that business, whether for its viability, consistent, sustainability, before you get into it. Proper record keeping is essential. Finally, you must have a business plan that can guide you, that can support you to do that. To be an entrepreneur, I leave them with consistency, passionate, persistence, perseverance, be on focus, and always think of the SMART acronym so that you'll always work on time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. I think the key word again would be discipline. And that is a consistent process that you've seen to all entrepreneurs, that they've had that discipline. So the final one, then we'll take it before I hand over to Mr. Sawane. Mr. Jagana, your final words to young entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Salif. I think most of what Usman and Fatu said would be repeated, but I just want to throw out 3 words. You need to have a structure, whether you're selling GetResaf or you're selling cloud accounting. Without structure, you cannot succeed because your customers expect you to be at a certain place at a certain time. You need to have determination and you need to be disciplined. If you have a structure, you have determination, you have discipline, the rest is luck. Luck, nobody knows where it comes from. But if you don't have those 3, you might not be lucky to be around there to be successful as an entrepreneur. And I would just want to say hi to Wally and Jan Paul. I've known them for a while, and they're young businesses I admire. I know they're online here. So it's good to see them connecting.
But thank you very much. Before I hand over to Mr. Sawane, thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me to meet most of you online, and we'll be happy to collaborate with you or to have an engagement with you. And as it is mentioned before, maybe the FLF allow me the opportunity to introduce. We have the IG Business and Finance, which actually help young entrepreneurs to keep records, but to guide them on strategy as well. This is an institution led by very good finance professionals, but strategic leaders as well in assisting. So you can reach out for assistance, which we help small businesses to grow. You can check us online, IG Business and Finance, to guide you on your business ventures. So it was a pleasure to meet all of you, and thank you for being the moderator. And over to you, Mr. Sawane, to have the closing remarks together with the team, plus the Gain team. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Salifu, and the members of the panelists. I think it was a very exciting conversation there. So I'm not giving the closing remarks. I'm going to hand over to Sheikh Tijan Tunkara, who is the investment manager in Gain, to give the closing remarks. Sheikh Tijan also is a member of FLF, so he's giving on behalf of both institutions here. Mr. Tunkara, are you online?
Yes, Mr. Sawane. Sorry. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Thank you all for joining the webinar. And I really believe we've learned a lot from our esteemed speakers. Thank you so much, Mr. Jagana, Ms. Fatou Sengay, and also Mr. Manjang, for your valuable insights. I'm very much sure that the entrepreneurs here will take your, expertise very much importantly, but also way forward, because we all know raising funding is very crucial in your business. but also it's a very important thing to know that there are certain steps you need to take when doing this. So I'm sure this will help you navigate the process. And also, we would like to thank Mr. Sari for guiding the discussion. It was really great. And as Mr. Sawane rightly elaborated, we gain and in collaboration with the Finance Leadership Forum are committed to bringing you these interesting topics regularly that are very much relevant to entrepreneurs, the business leaders, as well as the angels as well, that are the investors. So Mr. Sawane, thank you so much. On behalf of Gain Management, we're really thankful for your contribution to make this a success, but also to the team of Finance Leadership Forum as well. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. So I think as we normally do, we'll stop recording, and the remaining time we'll use for networking. In case you want to stay for networking, you can continue. Okay. So you can unmute yourself. You want to say hi to somebody. The webinar is officially over, so we often use the remaining 30 minutes to network. If you want to say hi to somebody you recognize. I know Mr. Jagannath spoke about 2 people or 2 entrepreneurs here. I mean, I would love to use this opportunity to hear a bit about them. If any of you can meet yourself, it's an opportunity to tell us what you do. And we can learn 1 or 2 things about you, if you may.
Yeah, and I've seen Madam Awasise as well. We've met recently on our GCCI event when I was actually having some programs, or when we were having a program with GCCI. It is doing a lot of things in terms of schooling, doing some businesses. So Madam Sise, I'm very, very interesting entrepreneur as well. So it's important to at least raise your voice. Managing schools and other businesses. Then we have the Care Fashions guy doing business in Birkama, the sewing business or the fashion industry. So raise your voice. We can know what you do, please.
You also recognize the presence of Mr. Berry. That is the DMD of Gain, who's also in the meeting joining us right now.
Okay, Mohammed. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Mohammed, hi. How are you?
How are you? Good to hear from all of you.
Yeah, good to see you or to hear from you. How is it Germany?
Yeah, in Germany. Yeah, I'm actually at I went out of the library. I'm standing outside, just to be able to hear, what you guys are saying. Very interesting discussions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Alassane Diallo.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Sawane, and also thank you for joining Gain, Mr. Sawane. Congratulations, and really, I think me and Salif, we've been talking about this for some time, so we're hoping to see Salif as well and the rest of the team. I think there is a lot of things that we can do. Really, I think the ecosystem needs a lot of people within this area, especially the ones with the skills to also support. I think this is what we've been missing. From our side, I can say this. So really, the more hands, the more capable hands, the better, because we need to somehow do a lot of shaping. I asked a question before, but I think it was late in terms of valuation. For example, if you wanted to do that, it's very difficult to come to an agreement with startups or founders, because you don't really have a lot of comparables in town. I have witnessed a lot of pitches, but when it comes to agreeing on, who gets what, I think this is where mostly the conversation dies down, because there is a lot of either lack of data or lack of understanding, or others call it attitudinal issues, or let's say cultural issues, not attitudinal, but cultural issues, that people don't really seem to want to give up certain stake from their business because sometimes it's difficult to value the other aspects of from the investors, let's say the networks that they provide. Very difficult to put a number to this. Or some of the other skills that they would provide. Sometimes also very difficult to put any number to this because you don't have any comparables. So I think events like this really would help to shape the understanding of entrepreneurs, but even also angels or potential angels or other type of investors.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I really agree. Valuation is a very difficult topic in finance. I think probably, if you ask me, the most difficult topic in finance. 2-3 months ago, I was in a roundtable discussion organized by ACC and BDO.
Yeah.
And the question that was asked was, what is value?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the fact that there is not one definition of what is value, it makes valuation difficult. But some people looked at only the financial values. And which itself, anything you have different methods, anything you have talking about the future, it becomes difficult for you to calculate one unique number.
Yeah.
But recently, what we've seen in the global financial market, if you look at historically, 90% of companies' value used to be tangible assets. In those days, you are a big manufacturing company, you have a big land, a lot of equipment. But today is the other way around. 90% of companies, the biggest companies, are intangible. The big companies in the world, the Apples, the Googles, they're all dealing with something with technology, but we can't see it. So you say Apple is a $1 trillion company, but the value is mostly intangible. And I think, like you rightly said, it's important to have some general awareness, both for the angels and the entrepreneurs, to understand that value is relative, but you have to come and agree in a middle ground, not only taking the financials, the forecast, and you put those things there, but there are other areas that either an angel can grow or that the business can also create in the future. And that can only happen through having that dialogue of conversation. We see what is happening in other parts of the world. But I think it's angel platform itself is very, very important for the country. We won't necessarily get people to come and invest in certain critical sectors for us. We have to sort of bring the capital together from our own savings, from our own big brothers and sisters who has the skills and some money together. And that's what we are able to. If you don't have an ecosystem approach, it's difficult. We've seen that we are talking about stock exchange in the Gambia. You wonder who will go to invest in stock exchange if you still don't have the same issue around valuation being fixed. So it's something that is exciting, difficult conversation. So from my daily job, I episode it was every year because I did value 4 to 5 companies every year. So it's always a difficult conversations. But I look forward to see how best we can leverage both platforms to create awareness in the country.
Yeah, thanks.
Alpha Jello, I don't know. So many Alpha Jello.
Yes. Hey, Mansa.
Yeah.
How are you?
Fine, good.
Good. I was following this thing, even though, you have to do 2 things together, kill 2 birds together. While we are listening, you're also concentrating on the other side. But how are you and the family?
No, we're all doing fine.
Good. I think the topics were very, very interesting, and I think I learned a lot from the Manjans, my director, board director, and the Serere lady. I call her Serere lady. You learned a lot from them, and now if Sereres are doing business, I think Fullers need to look for something else. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you, boss. How are you doing?
Good. Fine, thanks. We are fine.
That's very good. That's very good.
I'm following your events every now and then. I'm part of it, inshallah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Good, Mr.
Sorry, okay, can't hear you.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Sawane. I think I'll take my leave for now.
Yeah,
Crossing for another engagement quickly, inshallah. Then we'll talk afterwards.
Yes.
Inshallah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunkara, and thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Saleh.
Thank you, Saleh.
Yeah, we also have businesses here. If so, in case you are interested in connecting, you can drop your name in the chat box if you feel more comfortable doing that, so we can connect and explore potential opportunities.
Yeah. See, others are keeping fast logistics, Fatima Zahra Youth. So I see a number of people, maybe like Alva said, they are killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah, exactly.
ST, tell them you are an investment manager, and you're looking for companies to invest in. So maybe there could be an opportunity where eventually you guys can meet and start having these conversations.
Most definitely, yeah. So if looking for investment, feel free to connect. You can just share maybe your contact detail in the chat box. But also you can unmute yourself and talk a little about yourself, and we see how best we can connect.
Yeah. Looking at more, but everybody is mute, so maybe we'll just end it then. So since the rest are all muted. So, okay, so maybe then we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
you. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much.